everybody? Steven here for Off the Shelf Movie Night to talk to you about a trip to the movies. I actually saw 2 films this weekend. I'm going to do a separate video for each film. And I picked up some cool stuff this weekend too. If you're on my Instagram, which is otsmovienight, then you've already seen those pictures. I'll talk about those cool pickups in a separate video. But right now I want to talk to you about a film I saw this weekend that is being talked about in awards circles, but not in the mainstream as much as I would have thought or would have appreciated, is Dark Waters. Everyone's talking about Jumanji: The Next Level, and I'll get to that in another video, but I want to talk to you about Dark Waters right now. This is a Todd Haynes directed film with a really great cast, including Mark Ruffalo, Anne Hathaway, Tim Robbins, and Bill Pullman, who is probably doing his most unique acting job so far. The film is it's kind of a biopic about a corporate attorney named Robert Billet. What's interesting about this particular attorney is he worked for a firm. He had just become partner in this firm. That the firm focused on chemical companies. Well, through his family, sort of small town where his family is from, someone got in touch with him that needed some help. And it turned out that person was being directly affected by decisions made by a large chemical company, DuPont. I'm sure you've heard of them. They are still large. They were huge at the time of that this film was set, and they're still huge now. And that, anyway, it's a small farmer who approached Billet about needing help. Billet takes on the case and becomes super passionate about the case. This happened in the late 80s, and he continues to fight for this town and for the people affected by decisions made by DuPont. He continues to fight now. So this film chronicles over 10 years of his battle, and I'm going to tell you, it is fascinating. I kind of have heard bits and pieces of the story before, but to get the whole thing in this film and see what Billet and his family went through to fight against DuPont, and the lengths that DuPont went to cover up what they were up to, is riveting. It's an incredible film. Now, what's really interesting about the film, though, is these types of films often go into sort of melodrama with an attorney making a big show in a courtroom, in a court case, and like having some epic speech at the end of the film that convinces the jury to be on his side and all this stuff. That's usually what happens. There's another movie coming out, I believe it's called Grace or something like that it's funny to see that trailer because that movie 100% does this. This movie is more about ground pounding. It's about research. It's about determination. It is about not giving up. And it is about fighting the fight in the dirt. Things that you have to do before you ever go into the courtroom, and things that have to be done after you've gone into the courtroom. It's subdued and subtle, yet it's still sort of through visual cues and some scenes that were obviously dramatized, but were dramatized for specific reasons, and that reason is to show you the paranoia that Billet and his family were going through as they fought against DuPont. Rather than just sit down and have him do a speech, which would automatically have me deduct points from it about how he's paranoid, let's just do a couple of cool scenes that sort of sell that feeling. And it works incredibly well. The film feels like it flies by. The acting is top-notch. This film needs to be recognized, not only for the acting, but also for the directing, because it's subtle, it's subdued, it's laid back in terms of the melodrama. It focuses on the story. And as I researched after the film, most of what you see in the film that feels like it could be dramatized actually was not. It was real. That stuff happened, and it's a matter of record. So I highly recommend it. Todd Haynes, if you don't know this director, I have notes here. He's been making film for a long time. He does a lot of independent film. He's done a number of music videos for Sonic Youth, which was a band from the 90s. Not my cup of tea, but hey, he's a talented filmmaker. His most recent film that you may have heard of is called Wonderstruck. He's also done I'm Not There, and he did a movie in the 90s called Velvet Goldmine. Those are some of his more popular things. So he's a super creative guy. And as I said, on the acting side, Bill Pullman, if you didn't know it was him, you might not recognize him. This is not the Bill Pullman from Independence Day. Tim Robbins is good as always. Anne Hathaway is kind of wasted here. And I don't think she's wasted due to her abilities or even the directing. I think she's wasted because this particular role didn't have a lot of opportunity for her to show her acting chops. This is the wife of the attorney, and she played that role. She gets a couple of good scenes, but she doesn't get to really spread her wings from an acting perspective in this. I'm assuming she must have done it out of a passion for the story, and maybe to work with this cast. I don't know. Mark Ruffalo is phenomenal. This is not the Mark Ruffalo that you know from the Avengers films. This is not Bruce Banner. He has worked really hard to develop the sort of mannerisms and attitude and sort of just the being of the real person that the film is based on. So it's fascinating to watch him work here. There's not really much else I can say except see the movie. I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but I will say that cinematically, really cool things are done with color, along with certain scenes that were obviously written to the script to develop an emotional response. It's an important story. It'll change the way you look at things in your household after you've watched it. And I hope it gets nominated for some awards because it deserves them. All right, that's all I got to say about this film. One thing I did want to mention is maybe you're looking behind me and you've been following the show. Where are my movies? Where's my collection? Well, I had mentioned previously that I was going to have the shelves painted. Well, they've been painted, and now all over the floor everywhere are my Blu-rays and DVDs and 4Ks. They're just stacked up everywhere. It's kind of making me crazy. But what I might do is take this opportunity to do a complete collection episode and kind of just go through the collection while they're off the shelf anyway. And there'll probably be a part 3. I've done 2 videos already on organizing. We'll do a part 3 once I start putting these back on the shelf and make that final decision on how everything is going to be laid out. So if you follow physical media and you like movies and TV and you want to talk about Blu-rays and 4Ks and even some older formats if that's what you're into, please give us a subscribe here and hit that notification bell so you'll know when I put up new videos. And please hit the like button because that really helps us in the search algorithm so more people can see what we're doing here. If you've got some ideas about what you'd like to see me cover here on this series, please feel free to put them in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And until we get over to Jumanji: The Next Level, I'll see you soon.